Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond episode 483. My name is Marty Sliva. I am joined by Alanah Pierce.
Great.
Andrew Goldfarb.
Hello.
And Terry Schwartz, all the way from terrifying Los Angeles.
It's so scary.
It is very
You
scary.
also didn't say Beyond at the beginning again.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's like the third week in a row.
That's totally fine. On today's
I agree,
show,
it's fine.
we have played a lot of video games. Andrew can finally talk about Persona 5.
Yay.
Alanah can finally talk about Mass Effect Andromeda. We played a lot of cool stuff at GDC, a lot of indies, including Yooka-Laylee and Night in the Woods. We're going to talk about Uncharted 4, the Lost Legacy DLC details that finally came out today, and tell you about our PAX plans. But first, Andrew.
Me.
Persona,
Yes.
a video game.
Yeah, I.
About that cute pup.
There's
What's his name?
It's a
Karamaru?
cat. Well, that's Persona 3.
Oh,
Karamaru's the best. I would love to tell you guys all about
All right, so our lack of knowledge about Persona is totally weighed out by your complete knowledge of Persona 5, including your Platinum.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I'm going to be the first person in the world to get the English Platinum. I mean, we don't know yet because like the trophies aren't live, so I can't look. But I got the Platinum. It took me 105 hours. Yeah, I mean, so we're in this weird boat where like I'm not reviewing it, and like we are still under embargo for certain things. Plus, like I don't want to give away story stuff at all.
Of course.
But the game, like playing as much as I've played in Japanese and now in English, like I'm honestly convinced that mechanically, I don't think there's been a JRPG or any turn-based RPG this good in 20 years. Like I feel like it is so stylish and aesthetically, it's amazing, and there's so many striking things about it. But just playing it like mechanically, it is such a strong game, and it's just so smart. And like basically they're taking what they've done in all the Persona games, which are the typical like weaknesses by like obviously like ice is weak to fire, and
I've played
wind
Pokemon.
is weak to lightning. It is straight up Pokemon. I mean, that's the thing. Like when you're collecting all the Personas, like they're each like have elemental strengths and weaknesses and all of that, and it's just like the systems are smarter. They added 2 new elements that they added like psi and nuclear.
Psi as in like...
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
no, Psi as in the
Like
weapon.
deep psi.
I thought it was just like...
No,
a,
like psi, like
like
PSI.
psychic.
Oh,
Like,
PSI.
yeah.
What beats nuclear?
I
Psi.
would
yeah.
love for sighing, just
Yeah.
like an exhausted sigh to
That was
be a
that
weapon.
was that was in
Yeah.
Life is Strange.
And all the nukes are just
That's
disable if someone
Yeah.
sighs.
Oh,
Like,
apathy.
well, never mind.
Apathy disarmed the bomb.
Just leave the battle. Yeah, the game's great though. I mean, I don't want to, I don't want to get too much into it because I don't want to.
Well, you played through it already in Japanese. Like
Yeah.
I think that's probably how you were able to beat it relatively quick over 100
100%.
hours.
I remembered a lot of the puzzles, and
What is it like playing through it in English where you understand the story beats?
I got so much more context from the story stuff. Like I understood what was happening.
That makes sense.
And it's like I kept saying, I understood what was happening, just not why. So a lot of, especially early in the game, like why people get involved with the group, with the party, I'm like, oh, like that, your motivations make so much more sense than what you were pantomiming. Like the actual like backstory stuff is cool, and just how each person gets involved is cool. It's this really weird thing where Persona 4, there's like a flickering light.
Yeah.
I thought they were like trying to send us a
it's just our
message or
impending
something.
doom. It's fine. It's totally fine.
Persona 4 feels like Scooby-Doo. It's very much like this like
that's cool.
wily gang of kids solving mysteries and coming together. Whereas Persona 3 is like this super dark, moody, everything is awful, the world is ending. This is somewhere in the middle of those.
It's like sort of a sigh.
Yeah, it's kind of a heavy sigh.
Can I ask what your favorite and least favorite things about it are?
Favorite is, I mean, it's the
style?
world. It's the style, but it's also just the world. Like exploring Tokyo.
Yeah,
as
I was going to
opposed
ask,
to,
how's
like,
Tokyo in the game?
It's awesome. And it's like so much, like the districts feel so distinct, like Shinjuku versus Shibuya versus Akihabara, like feel distinct. And there's like really fun little, like there's an arcade in like each place, but like the Akihabara one's like much more elaborate. And you can like go to UFO Catcher and catch little like Atlas and Persona Easter egg things, or, like the Catherine Ram or whatever. And like, there's just so many smart things like that. I don't know, the characters, I think for me, they are not as strong as probably 3 and 4. I think
Which
3,
that's being held on like a high pedestal because 3 and 4 have probably some of the strongest characters of any.
for sure. I think the chemistry in 4 is like so unparalleled by anything. And I think there's still archetypes that are like the characters in 3 have sort of almost been like remade in 4 and in 5. And so I think like the main story is really, really strong, probably the strongest it's been. But the characters themselves, I feel like I have less of an attachment to than I did in.
Except for
Well,
that-
I'm disappointed that they replaced the dog with a cat. personally.
Oh, the cat is so, dude.
I don't know if I can say this, but cat bus, like.
Ooh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, there's super early. They've shown that in trailers and stuff. Morgana. So there's the dungeons.
Morgana is the cat.
Yeah.
For context.
There's the themed dungeons that are like totally different puzzles, all the crazy
Procedurally
stuff.
generated, right?
Well, no, that's the thing. So like the main dungeons aren't. They're set. They have puzzles. They're built around an elaborate theme. They have story cutscenes. But then there's these things called mementos, which are like side quests basically, and those are procedurally generated, and those are more along the lines of like Tartarus and Persona 3. And in that, Morgana turns into a bus that you drive around. It's a little cat bus with ears and tail and
I've
stuff.
played that film. Yeah, I played the Ghibli. That is very exciting, and so,
Yeah, so-
obviously we'll have more in our official review when it comes out in April, most likely.
I'm guessing
Never
review will be
seen-
later this month.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
and-
weird how early that we got this game.
yeah, it's crazy.
Well, when you have to put like 150 hours
Yeah.
into
That's
something.
the thing. Well, and it's nice that they were able to do that, right? Like, I
Right.
mean, I really appreciate that we were able to spend ample time with it, because I think like we had it with Uncharted and with plenty of other games, and like even you with Zelda recently, like you play differently when you feel like you're in a deadline,
Yeah.
and it doesn't necessarily make the game worse, but it just means that if a puzzle game especially, like The Witness, I don't know how you would rush to review
Yeah,
because
really frustrated.
you slam your head against the wall because you're like, I have to do this now. Whereas normally you'd be like, well, I'm gonna go to bed and then tomorrow come out.
Yeah, and also
fresh.
by getting like a huge head start before embargo, you end up getting deeper and more varied, points of views and discussion topics, as opposed to we play through it in the weekend and I can't remember most of it.
Yeah.
There's a joy to not having to rush through a game too,
Seriously.
like especially with Zelda, but I feel like with Persona too, just finding those small moments that you wouldn't get if you're like, hi, I need to review this by the end of day tomorrow.
Well, it gives us
Had that
time.
with Zelda, but I still loved it.
Well, I mean, like Zelda is so endless that even with 6 months, I feel like you couldn't see every single little thing.
absolutely.
Like I feel like in this game, there's like cute little side things. Like there's like
There are a
you
lot
can
of Easter eggs, right?
lots of Easter eggs for sure, and like little side activities like going to the movies and fishing and batting practice and going to the gym, and like there's all these like little
Big four.
mundane like activities you can
I
do.
love fishing minigames.
But yeah, the fishing minigame in this is really smart. There's so many smart things. I don't know. I'm trying to do some more supplemental like interview stuff and look at the big picture. There are little things. I think it's really it's a smart game. Like when I get into spoilers, I want to talk about some stuff. The stuff I'm most excited about is definitely like end game stuff that implies future things. So it's cool.
For more on fishing minigames, check out Sonic Adventure. Plays Big the Cat, who has many fishing minigames.
Oh, I'm glad you brought Big the Cat up.
Speaking of Big the Cat, Alanah, you got to play 4 hours of Mass Effect Andromeda.
I just realized what you did with that segue.
What?
Oh, Marty.
What?
Nothing. Anyway, yeah, I did play 4 hours of Mass Effect Andromeda. You weren't segueing the way that I think you were?
No, I just did a hard segue that didn't make. Oh, you want to have sex with Big the Cat? Was
That's
that the
what
segue?
I thought the segue was.
Nope, you brought that on yourself.
Well, people really do think that Mass Effect Andromeda is a big old sex game.
Yeah.
I unfortunately actually didn't get to do any of that.
Oh man.
I did try.
Oh, bang.
I did play about 3 to 4 hours of Mass Effect Andromeda right from the opening of the game, and then we jumped forward to somewhere that was kind of in the middle of the game. And it definitely is different. It doesn't necessarily feel like the original trilogy. There are a lot of changes, and I think it has its own unique personality, but also the combat is like totally different. There are still the similar kinds of abilities. There are more of them now, but the biggest change in that is the jetpack that you have that lets you strafe in combat whenever you want to, and also jump out of cover and platform around, which is really, really fun, but it also makes it very fast-paced.
Does it feel much more actiony than?
It does. It feels far more actiony in that, one of the first planets you're on, you are going there as a pathfinder. I'm not going to spoil anything, but basically, you just shoot this race that you encounter. You don't interact with them, and that's odd to me in Mass Effect.
Yeah, I mean, Mass Effect's so funny because Mass Effect 1 is mechanically so different from 2, is so different from 3. Like 3 feels so much more actiony and less clunky than 1 did.
Yeah.
So it's like, is it still like the wheel? Like, do you have like a wheel for choosing abilities and weapons and stuff? Or are you like,
No.
like what is, because I guess my thing with Mass Effect has always been like, I honestly can barely remember which class I chose because like there's a point where like soldier is distinct as compared to, what is it?
Vanguard.
Biotic or whatever.
They've taken that to a whole new level now because the class is basically don't mean anything, and you can change them whenever you want to.
Interesting. Okay, so that was my question. That's smart, honestly.
It is.
Very Dark Soulsy. Where,
Yeah.
you choose a starting class, but within an hour or two, you can
Completely.
respec enough to where it's like you are anything you want to be.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really smart.
Style too.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Because in Mass Effect, it always felt weird to be locked away from certain abilities and weapons arbitrarily.
Well, especially, I feel like I was saying this on Unlocked. It's weird for like we're finishing up Mass Effect 1 now and starting the game. It's like, what class do you want? Do you want to be a biotic? I'm like, I don't know what any of this means.
Yeah,
You're
yeah.
making me. You're making it's like giving your kid a name. You're,
Well,
like, you're locked in. I don't know. If
especially in that game, you're locked in for three games. Yeah.
There are other games that do that in a way that it explains exactly what it is. Like I always pick a mage.
Yeah.
So that's something that, Mass Effect doesn't quite have that. I guess Biotic would sort of use it.
using
But
abilities. Yeah.
yeah, I feel like there's certain things that lock you in more specifically, but Mass Effect doesn't really. It locks away abilities rather than giving you better abilities. They basically just made it more open and kind of in every way. My favorite change is to the dialogue system, which is no longer Paragon and Renegade. I think the words that it uses is logical and emotional. There are more than that, I believe, but basically you choose what tone you're saying something in rather than whether you're being a dick or you're being nice. So it feels like it's a lot more flexible and there's a lot more gray area. And it also has one of the stat pages is personality. So as you're playing through and you're making these dialogue choices, it's like you are actually shaping the personality of your character rather than just occasionally being rude to someone, which I really like. I feel like it's going to be ever evolving. And one thing that I actually didn't like so much is that there is a lot of dialogue that you don't choose. Just in combat, there's tons of crosstalk. There's also the thing where it happens in a lot of games. If you're walking and then you walk too far, it cuts off one line of dialogue because you start another one. And that actually
hate
happens
that.
quite a bit.
Yeah, that's always annoying.
But I'm wondering if because you're shaping the personality of your character towards the end of the game, the automatic dialogue lines might be different to someone else's.
Oh, that'd
I'm
be cool.
hoping that happens.
Like if you become more of a dick naturally,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's really smart. I mean, it was always funny to me. Like, I feel like Paragon Renegade or any like binary choices are kind of a product of that time.
Yeah.
Because even like I remember when Infamous 2 came out and they were like, oh, like we don't tell you which is the good choice and which is the bad choice.
It's obvious,
but then it's
though.
like, do you want to burn down the orphanage or save the kids? It's like, like,
Do you want to mute Megaton?
I mean,
Like,
yeah. I mean, it's the same thing like Bioshock. You're like,
Yeah.
well, obviously, sticking a needle in a little girl is the bad choice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this definitely doesn't seem as clear. And I feel like, one of my favorite things about Mass Effect has always been the moral gray areas in decision making, where maybe you will wipe out one entire race but save everyone else by virtue of doing that. And I think this kind of makes that even more complicated.
Don't do that. Don't wipe out the race. Be good. Also save Ashley and don't save Caden.
It's
Those are Mass Effect 1 hot tips.
That's
10 years from the future.
Good plug
Yeah.
for
You've been playing through Mass Effect.
We're gonna finish it very soon, and I'm gonna finish
Yeah.
2 and 3 before Andromeda comes out, and I'm still gonna have a job.
You're
I think
absolutely
there's a lot of curiosity though about you sort of touched on this, how similar or different Andromeda will be from the original Mass Effect. Obviously 4 hours I feel like is not
You're absolutely
enough
right.
time.
Yes, but I kind of feel like you should look at this as a different game. I think that this is the kind of thing that, it's made by almost completely different team of people. And I think that this should be looked at as something that kind of exists in the same universe, but is fundamentally very different to the original trilogy. There are a lot of changes that I like. There are some things that aren't flaws in it, but they're things that it moved away from that I loved. Like, I love the world building. I love that so much. I love being able to talk to anyone, anywhere, and get their entire personal backstory without really needing to. And I feel like of what I played of Andromeda, there's a lot less of that. And that's something that sucks for me, but isn't necessarily a flaw overall. I feel like it is kind of like, if you read a comic book and then you go to the movie and if you expect it to be exactly the same, you're going to get angry. I think that could happen with this. Like, if you're not expecting it to be identical.
different. Too,
Yeah,
right?
and
Exactly. It's advanced.
starting
It's
a
been-
new.
Yeah.
And it's been, 10 years in video games, like storytelling and exploration and player agency and scope in video games have changed so much in 10 years that, like, if it did feel like Mass Effect 1, that would be weird. That would be like
kind of
it
bad.
would be like they were
Right.
insulated. While
to be
oh,
fair though, I think Mass Effect 3 was it
Sure.
did incorporate, like Mass Effect 2 and 3 did evolve with the time.
yeah, and 3 was
the
what,
thing
5
is-
years ago?
yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I haven't played 3. I played 1 and 2. I didn't play 3. So this could be super similar to 3, and I just don't know because I haven't played it. I actually didn't play it because people talk so much crap about the ending, so I never bothered.
But which color are you?
yeah.
I mean, 3 is like, it is more actiony. It is, I think 3 feels the least RPG-ish of them. Like, it seems like it leaned much more into action.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think 3 is fine. I don't think it's like the worst game ever. I actually liked it quite a bit until the ending.
I love 1 and 2. 1's my favorite though, for sure. Like I prefer.
1's my favorite story, but it is so hard to go back to because it's so clunky inventory wise.
Yep.
I mean, it's
Yep.
interesting. Like Andromeda is fascinating to me because it's carrying the baggage. It's getting the advantage of the Mass Effect name because, you know, like, hey, like that's not a random alien. It's a Krogan and that's an Asari. And like, you know that, but it's also carrying a lot of baggage, especially because of how 3 was received. That I don't know, like they keep saying this is not the beginning of a trilogy, which
It's totally the beginning of a trilogy.
I
The
do.
beginning of a series that will never end.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm locked into a trilogy.
I'm almost like I like the idea of them doing almost like a Rogue One style. Like you can do a separate branching off that's set in the overall universe, but introducing characters you never met or whatever. But I don't know. Like I feel like Mass Effect's world is really rich and open for a lot of that stuff. Like before this was announced, we were always wondering like, will they go back in time and tell some of the like original like Mass Effect relays being established? And
Sure,
And
almost
it
like
would be
Halo
really hard
Reach.
to have humans though, right?
Yeah,
like
for
that
sure.
would be a weird time to do it. But
But do you need humans? Like I'm almost my
I would
biggest.
play a whole game as Garrus. That'd be
Yeah,
great.
That's the thing. Garrus and
Exactly.
Rex like
Yeah.
are the most interesting characters in 1.
Yeah, I
For
love
sure.
them. But there are, you know, for the things that they took away that I particularly love, there's stuff that they've added that I also really love that I didn't get to try much of, which is there's so many more planets and they are enormous. They also have actual side quests on them, supposedly. I didn't get to try any of these, but it seems like they have actual narrative-driven side quests that aren't just drop your damn vehicle down and then float around
yeah, the
a little
Mako?
bit.
Yeah.
side quests that are all the same.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm excited for the most is an
Also the
evolved
crafting.
form of all of those things. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, if the Nomad is a better Mako and if like,
Nomad is totally better.
I mean, that's
How can you possibly get better?
It also has like, you know, it is a newer game. It has like huge scale boss fights. I actually didn't get to play those, but I saw for IGN First, I saw some of what Destin had played through, and I can't talk about it, but it was just the scale of them is so much bigger than they were in the original series. Like
That's awesome.
Michael Bay scale boss fights. Like they're huge and noisy, and that's actually one of my favorite things about it was the sound design is just amazing. You really feel like every planet you go to is a completely different planet. Like none of them feel similar, and I think I said this on Unlocked, but I feel like that's what Destiny was trying to go for. But really what Destiny ended up doing with having these different planets in space was just kind of reskinned the same thing to have like
Different
slight,
colors.
exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas these have like environmental things that feel so totally different that it just, like you really can get swept away in
specific
everything.
flora and fauna and
Yeah.
stuff.
that's really cool.
I mean,
Yeah.
obviously, we have so much Mass Effect content this month because it's our IGN First. But also, when you go to a preview event, you're getting what the developer and what the studio wants you to see.
Yep.
And I'm so curious, like when you do get a chance to sit down and like play that game.
Yeah, how different it might be.
Yeah, what it might be, and whether some of those things that you think aren't in there maybe just were what they didn't want to show you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well, that said though, it was buggy as hell. It's, aside from Assassin's Creed Unity, the single buggiest game I've ever previewed.
Which is scary because it's out in like 2 weeks.
I know.
But that being said, you don't know when the build was from.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I keep wanting to say, obviously this could change, but because I passed on a review of Assassin's Creed Unity, a preview of Assassin's Creed Unity, because it was so buggy, I feel like I have a duty to tell people what I played. It could completely release differently. Build could be months old, but you know, I
When they
had
release
2 crashes.
patches.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Fix everything.
Day one
We got
patch.
That's like always the hard thing about previewing and even reviewing now is like we do sometimes get it before the day one patch and it's
Yeah.
like maybe
Yeah,
that
how
fixes
different it'll be.
literally every problem.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One thing that I think won't be fixed is some of the facial animations. You know, people have spoken about BioWare face. Specifically bad in cutscenes where a character is supposed to convey some kind of emotion. I feel like they are not
that seems
very,
important.
they're not very good, just again from what I saw, at conveying emotion. It's like their facial features just don't move enough. And I wonder if that's because the character creation menu is so much more expensive now. Like there's so much more that you can do.
Yeah.
Has a lot of fidelity. Like you can, because they're not technically military, the Ryder twins, they aren't confined to like the same basic hairstyles as Shepard might be. You can get crazy
That's awesome.
colored
Yeah.
hair and do whatever you want really. But
Yeah.
I think because there are so many different features, it was harder to make them move organically. So characters just don't emote quite enough.
I mean, that's the thing with facial animation is any game that has a custom character creation thing inherently isn't going to be able to be as good as a Naughty Dog game or,
Yeah.
you know, a Quantic Dream game.
It's not like Fallout looks very good either, you know? Like
No,
faces
no,
look
of
real.
course. Yeah. And that's just like, I don't know. That's just
It's because
how
they're
it
like
is.
mapping a rig for a raised eyebrow, but that eyebrow could be one of 50
Yeah,
different
totally.
shades
Where
or
it's not
whatever.
just like, oh, this is Nolan North's face emoting like
I
this.
just have,
This
like,
is Troy
Finchy
Baker's
from
face.
Prepare to Try
Oh God,
stuck in
Finchy.
my-
Oh jeez. I don't think it's as bad as Finchy. 'Cause I don't think anything's as bad as Finchy.
I love if you've never seen it, Polygon is a show called Monster Factory.
Oh
That is
my God, my
so
favorite.
good. It's like just making these awful.
The Dark Souls one.
It's so good.
The pizza skin.
Yeah, I don't want to talk about
Watch
that.
that.
Yeah. Did you get to hear female writer versus male writer at all?
Yeah, I tried both, and I was impressed with the voice acting for both of them. I actually, majority of the time, do play as a male character, but I think in Andromeda I'm going to play as Sarah Ryder just because I really like her. And something about her fashion is super cool. And it's like, I think like this is probably like a character that I'm like, I could totally be her. And it like is cooler. Whereas I actually preferred male Shep in the original trilogy, which everyone else.
Really?
I know, everyone says that.
Wow.
You and Destin.
Yep, it me.
Yeah. Wow. I think, Fem Shep is like 100 times.
I understand why people say that. I don't know why. And I didn't even customize him. So it was just like vanilla bro
Have you
Shep.
seen the real life guy who he's based on? No. It is like insane. There's a man out in the world who doesn't look like a real man. He looks exactly like he looks like a CG creation, but it's really him.
That's
He
so
looks
funny.
exactly like Mel Shepherd. It's really funny.
That's incredible.
Before we move on, I also just wanted to talk about the crafting. It is crazy expansive, and it seems like every single thing that you pick up, you don't just need to sell it or turn it into Omnigel. You can craft with it. And it's kind of a system of blueprints where you have silver, bronze, and gold. There could be more than that. That's all I saw. And obviously the gold ones are rarer. And once you get blueprints,
rare.
which you have to buy the blueprints, which then you use to make different things. And they each have, like the gold ones have 3 slots for basically augments. So you can have a shotgun, but you can add like extra damage when you're low on health, or you can even change the rate of fire. So it kind of seems like there are so many weapon combinations that I looked at in that blueprint list and was like, how the hell is that gonna work? Like, just it seems like you can create whatever the hell you want and just completely defy the laws of what we know.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be super
That sounds
fun.
like Dead Space 3 had a
Yeah.
Tons like Dead Space.
Also, I'm glad that
awesome.
like 2017 is gonna be the year of the craft between
Yeah.
Resident Evil and Horizon and Zelda and this, and probably every game for the rest of the year.
Yeah,
Forever.
that'd be good.
Yeah. Good crafting
You
in
can
games.
get custom guns in Persona.
Hey.
I'm really excited for Mass Effect. I've been as much as I can with my job trying to be just on media blackout for it.
Yeah, and they've done a relatively good job. Like if you just don't watch the IGN first stuff, which isn't good. Watch the IGN first
stuff.
or at least just like click the video and let it play through so that we can know.
Yeah, at least watch
deal.
the app.
Yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job of keeping the story close to their vest. Yeah, and we'll obviously have more on Mass Effect throughout the entire month, as well as Alanah and I are going to play the multiplayer at PAX.
Yeah, I'm super excited.
Yeah.
I think that's actually the first time it's playable. If you're going to PAX, make sure you check that out.
Yeah, and we'll
Yeah, I thought
talk-
it was interesting. They were doing a beta and they canceled it. But it will be shown at PAX. And I mean, like the game's so soon. I feel like it's hard to be that mad about it. Like,
I mean, they've put off having multiplayer. Like we were supposed to reveal it as well or something, and then that like kind of got pushed off. So it's like they keep sort of
Back to your buggy build comment.
Yeah, I
Maybe
know.
you
That's
don't
what I'm
wonder
thinking.
why, yeah.
It's like I feel like it'll be fine by the time it comes out. There's so many people working on it, and all they're working on right now is bug fixes, really. So
also, I've no doubt it's going to be really cool and robust. And those are very smart, talented people. I'll probably never play the multiplayer of Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah, I mean that's tough.
yeah. I'm always like that.
I mean, that's how 3 went. Like 3, I did. It was like basically horde mode, and I played a bunch of it. Like I wanted to get achievements and stuff, but like ultimately, like
They're called trophies, Andrew.
I played an Xbox. I started the original Mass Effect on Xbox. So
Well, yeah, you're sort of locked in very early.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
but yeah, it's. I'm excited for Andromeda.
Yeah.
It's so soon. God, it's such a crazy month.
I know.
It
Speaking
is.
of,
It's insane.
for games we know that did release very well, Horizon released very well. And I know everyone just wants to talk about Zelda, but this is the
What is
PlayStation
released
show.
I
very
just
well
want to talk
made.
about
Hasn't released
Horizon.
released in good shape. Like it was not buggy when
I
it
see, I
released.
Do we have any like idea of sales for it yet? I guess that probably won't come out.
We know in the UK for the first week it outsold Zelda, but that's skewed because it came out on a Tuesday and Zelda came out
I
on a
would be
Friday.
shocked if it didn't outsell Zelda. The install
would be-
base is so much higher.
Yeah.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, I think they said it's the best debut of an IP,
New IP.
on
I
on
believe that's
PS4.
for Europe, though.
Oh, that's for Europe?
I might be wrong.
Well, I would
think
imagine
that's
that's going to translate,
yeah.
like aside from Uncharted 4, this is probably the best selling first week for a first party game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they count, like, does Bloodborne count as a new IP? I don't
Yeah,
know.
I think so.
Like,
but I
yeah,
imagine
so-
this had to have sold more than Bloodborne.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would imagine too. Like, and plus they were pushing it really hard, and it's just unique and pretty and cool. Like,
I mean,
it's something
people
different.
are loving it.
Yeah.
Like every word I've seen about it has been positive. Like even when Jose and I was streaming Zelda, everyone's like, "Horizon is better." And I was like, "Okay, shut up." But
So we can have them
also
both.
Yeah,
great.
yeah. What if we have two of them?
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to play a bunch of Horizon, haven't you?
I did
Yeah.
finally
What do
this
you think
past
of it?
weekend. I am really enjoying it. I think I had the opposite problem as of everyone else though, where I just want to know what is going on with main story quests. I'm very
too.
narrative driven with games. I get very attached to that, and so I was like made a beeline through the main story quest and got really far into it and was around the level they suggested, but was just getting one-shotted by everything. And actually hadn't found a lot of side quests and actively had to go and find side quests and level up like another 10 levels, whereas a lot of other people I've seen playing have gotten totally lost in like just the first area. I finally was like, you know what? No, I'm going to fight some Stormbirds. I'm going to find some Robo T-Rexes and I'm going to go to the second area. So that's all right. And then I had to go work like terrible. Oh God, I'm going to be sick for the rest of the week. But yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far, but I do, maybe it was just because I went very story heavy at the beginning and then had to distract myself with all of the side quests. I do feel like it sort of lost that narrative thread that I was really interested in. Yeah. There's like a lot of cultist leader stuff that I'm not as invested in, is figuring out what is going on underground, like that big question.
Oh, sure. Like the I don't know, quote, for lack of a better term, what's in the hatch is the most interesting thing. Like it doesn't have to me the interpersonal interesting relationships that something like Uncharted does, but the overall mystery of just like, where are we and what happened? Like what got us here, I think is really cool. And finding one of the cauldrons, despite the fact that the cauldrons...
Oh, I finally did my first cauldron over the weekend and it was so neat.
It just looks so different than anything else.
It's so different and I want more of that, and maybe that's more late game. But there were just some amazing moments, especially early on, and I don't want to spoil anything, but when the characters are trying to figure something out that we as the audience have so much more insight into, and it's so interesting, and I want more of those moments. And again, I think I've just been distracting myself trying to level up. But so I'm excited to get back into sort of the main story. I haven't been as invested in the side quests. It's not like The Witcher 3 or even Zelda, I think, where they reward you in interesting ways.
I'm the opposite. Like I am just IV drip of side quests, and I don't know why I'm doing it. Like I'm not that kind of person with a game.
I mean, I enjoy playing them. I'm just not emotionally invested in any of these people's journeys. Like they all sort of run together, even characters that I'm repeatedly running into.
And it hinges a little too much. It's like side quests of like the detective mode thing of you come upon a spot of blood and you're like, what happened here? And you hit your Dragon Ball Z thing and then you see like a hologram walk away.
I've never played a Far Cry game, so a lot of this is a little new to me.
Sure.
Are you playing it the same way you usually play Far Cry?
Which is?
I usually play Far Cry in that I get to an area.
Tigers.
I just mess up some tigers. I put a grenade on a turtle and make a wallet out of it. I get to an area, I do a few side quests, and then kind of pad out that area, and then do a main quest, and then keep... I feel like I do it super evenly.
Yeah, I'm definitely like a couple side quests and then a main quest. Like I'm not going to get 100%.
Myself then. Then I'm creating from.
And I think the story does get a little bit better as it goes on.
I'm really interested in the story.
Yeah, with Aloy, Ashley Birch is awesome as Aloy, and ways into the game, Lance Reddick, who's again to bring up Lost for my contractually obligated once every 10 minutes. He's in the game and his character is really great and he's great. I guess he was also in The Wire. We can bring up the top two shows of all time.
He was in John Wick.
That is not The Lost or The Wire. Did I say The Lost?
You did say The Lost.
Yeah.
You were talking about Land of the Lost.
Oh yeah. Favorite. Okay, that movie's really good.
It's a very bad.
What do you think of Land of the Lost? The Will Ferrell one. That movie's really good. I watched it recently.
It depends whether you're sober or not while watching it. Is how I will
take a guess at my state.
Also, I love Tear Blast arrows, the purple ones. Yeah. I love the combat. Again, like maybe this is very.
So fun.
It's
combat's
like
great.
in every other game, but this is my first. I love scanning it and
I want to jump into it so badly. Like there's so many games.
Right 2017 is lousy with amazing games. Like what has happened?
It was awesome to play.
Yeah.
It does. It feels like 2007. It's like a every 5 years thing, I guess. But like it feels like a. Like I was happy to get Persona early and I'm excited that I got through it, but now I'm like, well, I basically just missed Horizon because I'm definitely jumping into Zelda. I finally got my Switch yesterday. I want to play Mass Effect early because I want to be part of it.
I'm really happy with the way that I managed it, and then I played 50 hours of Zelda in 4 days. So I started Horizon,
happy with that.
destroyed Zelda, and now I'm back to Horizon. So it's like because the way that Zelda is. I know we keep bringing it up to PlayStation podcast, but this is going to be the game of the year. I feel like we have reason to talk about it. So I smashed through that, and I'm now back to Horizon, which I'm playing kind of slowly. And then I think like by the time I'll be done, Mass Effect will be out.
You have 2 weeks. I feel like you're in a good spot.
I feel that way.
Yeah, you can play a ton this weekend.
If I was if I was one game ahead, like basically if I had beaten Horizon already and Persona, I'd feel really good about Zelda and Mass Effect. I don't really sleep anyway.
Well, my problem is
or if you don't play 104 hours of Persona your second time through the game.
Well, I'm also caught up on like every serialized show.
But
on
that's
TV.
my problem, right? Because I primarily work with our entertainment team, and there's so many good movies out right now, and like TV is good. All weekend, I was like, guys, I was so productive. I just sat on my couch and I played 10 hours of Horizon, and I rewatched Preacher, and I caught up on all the DC TV shows. I went and saw Logan. Like, it was so productive. I did so much.
It is weird that like with our jobs, if we consume a ton of media, it's like, oh, I was productive.
I did
I
good.
absolutely feel
I
that
actually
way.
did something. Like I saw Logan. I'm like, all right, I'm able to talk about Logan.
If I have a weekend that's like fun, I go to the beach. I'm like, man, I really should have played more games this weekend.
Man, I'm not gonna be able to talk to Marty
Never.
about the People versus O.J. Simpson when I get back.
And this is when the rest of the podcast is just about how great a show that came out a year ago.
Yeah, it didn't have enough Kato Kalin in it though, because that man's real silly. He lives in the back of the house and doesn't
Go
wear a
watch it.
shirt.
It's on Netflix.
Every
It's not a
single
plug.
TV show and movie that has been mentioned so far, except Logan, I have not seen.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I don't know what's happening. Anyway, back to Horizon.
Do you have any thoughts on the O.J. Simpson trial?
No,
Do you know what vehicle he drove in on his police chase? Take a guess. Color, make, and model.
a red Corvette.
A red Corvette. That
Wow,
infamous
yeah.
red Corvette chase.
Was it a Toyota
We'll,
Camry?
It was
we'll
a-
let you find out on your own.
Yeah.
We don't want to ruin that mystique for
It's an
you.
animal.
Yeah. In our new show, The Podcast versus O.J. Simpson.
He was a sportsman, right?
He was a sportsman and an actor.
He killed someone?
He allegedly killed his wife and a waiter.
Hey, he was
Anybody-
found,
Got
found
it.
not guilty.
I accepted a civil suit in which they were like, oh yeah, you totally killed her. Now you have to pay the family. And also now he's in jail for stealing sports memorabilia.
Wait, he was
Actually-
found not guilty?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I-
Well, spoilers at the end of People versus
I know.
O.J.
I was
Simpson.
like, I don't want to actually make this all about People versus O.J. Simpson, but it will be very interesting for you if you do watch it. It'll feel. I mean, there was a lot of stuff I didn't remember because I was pretty young
Yeah.
when it happened.
Well, I've wanted to do a show for a really long time where people just make me guess parts of American history that I'm like, I don't know. I
think we can
have
make that
no
happen.
idea.
We'll
what
call
that
it
is.
American History
Look it
X.
up.
Also, I'm so glad O.J. Simpson is considered part of American history.
Hey,
It
the
is.
trial of the century.
If it happened in America
That's true.
previously, it counts as history, all right?
That's true.
Greg and Colin would have never talked about the People versus O.J. They absolutely would have talked about the People versus
It's
O.J.
so
They're
good.
probably
No, Colin would have
talking
talked about the documentary.
It was my show of the year last year. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
it was.
I would agree.
incredible.
Well, other than Great British Bake Off.
All right, now we're actually moving on.
Ukulele.
Yeah, we got to
Played
play
that.
2 hours of ukulele.
Yes.
What did you think?
I thought that it is 100% Banjo-Kazooie 3.
Uh-huh.
Which I am totally okay with. And I think it has absolutely no shame in being that way. I'm just excited for people to be like, this is a ripoff of Banjo-Kazooie. And you're like,
Yeah.
it's made by the literal exact same people. I don't think that counts as a
Yeah.
ripoff. I feel like they would have made it Banjo 3 if they could have, but they obviously couldn't get the license. I think it's really fun. I really like a lot of the characters. A lot of the side characters are really interesting. I like the main bad guy. I like the hub world.
Everything feels good. It feels like
Feels
Banjo
very good to
Kazooie.
play.
Yeah.
There are a lot of kind of mysteries that you come across and like, ooh, I wonder how you do that. Oh, that's how you do that.
Yeah.
I don't think they're quite as powerful as they were in Banjo.
No, but
those
it's
moments are
also
still there.
Oh yeah. Oh, those moments. Yeah.
Yeah, the moments where you're like, what the hell? Like,
Yeah.
how do I figure that out? We pretty much agreed on it because we're the same person. I think the worlds are a little bit too big.
Yeah, especially the way they work is that you unlock a world and then it's already pretty big, and then you can spend the pages, which are the jiggies of this game, to either unlock the next world or you can expand the world.
Yeah.
And they go from being like, oh, you're as big as any of the levels, as the biggest
Big
level in
up.
Banjo-Tooie, to, oh, you are just massive.
Yeah, and I think because they're so big, they kind of lose a little bit of the personality.
Yeah, which we both felt in the 2 hours we played. And granted, a lot of the feedback I got was, well, you played 2 hours. And I'm like, yeah, but we were comparing it to, like, maybe it'll change. Maybe when I play the full game, I'll like know these levels like the back of my hand, like I do with the Banjo levels.
Yeah.
But we were weirdly comparing it to Resident Evil 7 in that, like, almost instantly you could memorize the mansion.
Still straight up draw the layout of that house.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, like when we were playing through it, just by you having played it once, you were like, oh, I know where everything is.
Yeah,
Which
and
is, I think that is like superb level design.
Yeah, I
101.
agree.
Yeah.
Especially because I have a terrible sense of direction. So
What about left and right?
I don't know those either. Very bad at
seeing, like,
figuring
No,
out
she
where to go.
legitimately has trouble
Very
with
bad
left
at left and right.
There's like
makes
this
an
little.
L.
I do that while driving all the time.
What was? Keep your hands on the wheel.
Yeah, do it while you're driving.
What did your mom said? This way and that.
Yeah, my mom says this way for whichever way she's sitting on, and then that way for whichever way the other person is sitting on.
seems
So that's
odd.
why I don't know
I
left
used my
and right.
that way turn signal.
Well, I would be directing her, and I have to say this way or that way, but it's weird because
You have to
this
put yourself
way-
in her perspective.
Exactly.
Your this way is my that way.
It's very hard. So that's why I don't know left and right.
Stage left.
Stage lefty.
Yeah.
Port and starboard.
But yeah, I felt lost in the world all the time. Whereas, damn it, Marty, I don't think I ever felt that way quite so much in Banjo-Kazooie and Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah, I felt that way in Banjo-Tooie. We feel different about Banjo-Tooie.
Yeah, but you're wrong.
I don't know. I've most recently played the opening of Banjo-Tooie.
And you fell asleep. There's a video on my Twitter of Marty snoring while I was getting 20 jiggies.
Very drunk.
But I'm really excited about it. I want to see more of the world variety. We saw a kind of like temple world and then an ice world, and both super cute. They also have their own version of Jinjos.
Yeah, they're kind of like weird ghosts that are a little bit aggressive, and you have to like tame them.
Sometimes you have to feed them. You have to
Yeah.
do different things to get them.
Yeah, I mean, there is a 1-to-1 analog with almost everything from Banjo in this
Yeah.
game. Also, the bad
except
guy.
Shovel Knight.
Also, there's literal Shovel Knight is in the game that gives you a quest.
Yeah.
Also, the bad guy is straight up Donald Trump. which
Yeah,
is great.
absolutely, Donald
They
Trump.
really saw that one in the future and were like, hey, this is going to
Yeah.
be topical. Yeah.
It's super weird. There's
Yeah.
this one part where he has this statue made of himself out of gold.
Yeah.
And
That's the honeycomb.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and the vice president like puts himself on the base of the statue, and the bad guy, his name is Capital B, I think.
B, yeah.
Just gets super angry that the vice president isn't there
Yeah.
at all, and like
Sad.
makes them chop it out, and you're like,
Yeah.
it's pretty incredible. It's also
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah, it's very funny. Yeah, there's a snake whose name is Trouser.
That's a snake. That's a dick joke.
Yeah, that is a dick joke. Yeah, I'm looking forward to killing that
More
bee.
dick jokes.
Did you play like N64 rare games growing up? 'Cause I know the three of us did. Are you excited
Yes.
for this? Are you gonna play it? It's got a lizard.
I don't think I will have time, but maybe eventually in my life.
That's a good answer. Maybe at some point in my life.
It's like the most polite no ever.
I feel like I always have limited time for games every year because I'm also balancing it between movies and TV. And I usually am very selective and was like, hi, Horizon and Zelda and
And it's some of the
Mario when
things
it
you
comes
want
out
to be a
later.
part of the discussion. 'Cause,
Right.
I mean, you work on the entertainment team, but like we have a call every morning where we talk about like features and follow-ups and everything. And so you contribute as much to games as well.
I'm just so excited that there's like another Q2 platformer because like I feel like it is. There are so many open world games. It is so overwhelming. And last year putting 12 hours into Ratchet.
Yeah,
was
totally,
just
right around this
such
time.
a
Yeah.
perfect like palate cleanser.
Yeah.
And I feel like this year again, like I'm so excited that like coming off of Persona, Mass Effect, Horizon, and Zelda, like I can take a deep breath and just play
this
a 3D
10-hour game.
platformer.
Yeah.
With
It's-
bright colors and
Yeah.
cute
Play it
music.
kind of passively as well.
Yeah.
Like you can do one thing, and if it stumps you, there's a million other things to do in that world. So I think it's super
I'm actually,
approachable.
it's like weird because like for years and years, I was like, I wish there was a Vita version. Like this is one of those like weird like loyalty conundrums for me where like I want the trophies, I want to play on PS4, but on Switch on the go,
know,
this
I
sounds
keep thinking,
so tempting.
Yeah.
Like, it's
So
I already, like, the Switch has barely been out any time at all. And already I was like, oh, I wish I could just like put Horizon on something
Exactly,
portable.
exactly.
So that actually segues into one of the rapid fire questions from George Loftus. Shout out to George.
like
What up, George?
Yeah, jackalope George. He said, now that you've had Switch for enough time and have an opinion on it, what would you like to see in a Vita successor, and how does the Switch's success prove that there's a market for it?
The same capabilities as the Switch.
I mean, this is because the Switch is Vita plus Vita TV or PS TV or whatever that ended up being. What was that called? PS TV?
Here, I think it's called PS TV.
Yeah, it is.
Kojima quote, it's what was it called?
Transfarring.
Transfarring, that's
Yeah,
it.
it is all of that, but just done seamless.
Well, but I mean,
Yeah.
like not even considering hardware, right? Like just stepping back and looking at it as like a consumer appeal. Like the thing with Vita is at the end of the day, like it was fairly limited in who it was appealing to because it had PlayStation IPs. Whereas like if you just think of this as having Mario and Zelda and all of the Nintendo things that are so much bigger on top of whatever third-party support's getting and all these indies and stuff, like I feel like it is poised for success. And like whether or not it will be, we'll see. But like a Pokemon game on this thing, like it is.
I hope they do
It
that.
has room to be so much. Like PSP was propelled by Monster Hunter and some other cool portable brands like FIFA, Pokemon, Mario, Zelda. Like this thing has potential at least to be so much bigger.
Yeah,
than
Monster
it was.
Hunter.
It's also just so convenient, right? Like the battery
Yeah.
life is not especially long.
No.
But saying, okay, well, I've been sitting at home and playing this for 5 hours or 6 hours, and then I need to go out and run an errand or go to the DMV, and being able to just pick it up and take it with you and bring it back later. Like, I mean, we already play games all the time anyway, but it's just so
Play them
convenient.
on your commute now.
Yeah.
I mean, you can with the Vita as well, but the thing that Kojima said about it, Lucy O'Brien and I interviewed him back in February at RTX, and he said he thinks that the Switch is an extension of the gamer's dream, I think is literally what he said. And it's the idea that you can buy a Blu-ray movie and you can play it at home, and usually, like a lot of the time, you'll get a download code or you'll get something that lets you take it with you as well.
Right.
Whereas consoles up until now haven't really had that. The Vita tried to do that, but that's the thing that I want, is the ability to have something that I can play on my TV in front of everyone and then immediately take out and continue playing the exact same thing seamlessly.
Yeah, like Sony has done the best job of it up until now in terms of cross-save and cross-buy.
I think they can do it. I really think they can.
And like there's a lot of games like Thomas Was Alone and Guacamelee that I did play like that, where I primarily played on Vita, but at the same time I could upload my save and I could download the game for free on my PS4 and play it there if I want. And
slightly less convenient.
Sure, slightly less convenient. Yeah.
And it requires, like, if you're doing remote play or something, like, you still need a really good internet connection. You still need, like, to leave your PS4 in rest mode. And, like, there's, like...
Yeah, and you can't do it on a flight.
Exactly. Like, it's still a little more complicated. Whereas this is... I think this is something I feel like I could explain to anyone.
Yeah.
Whereas Vita, it's like, I really do feel like you need, like, a wiki page open, walking through the steps.
That's the thing, is, like, I hope that the Switch does well so that we can get another PSP or a Vita that does this.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
if they take a note from it.
There a patent that said they were working on?
So Sony's doing like R&D on some kind of very similar idea to Switch. But I mean, like, ultimately, if the Switch sells 100 million units, yes, Microsoft and Sony are making some version of this because that's just how it goes, you know? Like, I think that...
I mean, you look at the Wii, like the Wii's motion success, like it,
with Move,
for better or for worse, entered in, Move and...
Connect. And, So I think, like, they're not getting ignored if it does that well.
Yeah.
I would be, like, I'm excited for it, and I finally got mine yesterday and, like, set it up and everything, and I can't wait to jump into Zelda. I would be very surprised if it does that well.
I mean, the thing I would love is I don't think there's going to be another handheld Sony device. I think what could happen is that they lean heavily into mobile and that we get a back catalog in mobile, and that maybe mobily you can download PS1 games or you could download these indie games and you could play them. Someone's going to come up with finally the controller that makes sense to connect to an iPhone or an Android phone.
They already have some pretty good ones.
They kind of were building that ecosystem, and then PS Now just got shuttered on every device other than a PC or a PS4.
Yeah.
And so it's weird because, like, you could play via a Vita or
Smart TV.
Smart TV, exactly. And like now, I feel like they are dialing that back. Maybe it's because they have a replacement in mind, but I don't know. Like I would love to take Bloodborne or Horizon on the go, and I would play them more. Like I would have been more likely to finish Bloodborne if I could have just all the flights I was taking at the time, like brought it with me. So like it is what I've wanted since I was a kid, and not like I'm going to play the Game Boy version of the same thing I'm playing on Super Nintendo, but literally seamlessly, like you were saying, like pick it up and you're playing and it's your save file and it's everything. The nice thing about Sony doing it too would be like, we were just talking about how your Zelda save is tied to that Switch forever. And as of right now, there's no account-based solution. There's no cloud saves. There's no, if you drop that thing, gets stolen, like you're done. Like,
so for context, I played Zelda on an IGN Switch, which other people are now having to use. And there's stuff that I still want to do, but I can't because other people are having to play it, which is like super basic complaint. But the fact is I can't take my save off that ever right now.
Well,
but even like one of our friends got a Switch that was faulty, and he put like 4 hours into Zelda, and he had to replace his Switch and just had to start over, and that's really crummy.
It's like terrifying.
And it's like even like as of right now, you also can't transfer SD cards between systems. So even if they were like, hey, you can put your saves on SD cards now, it wouldn't do anything for you yet.
Right.
Like
it's so dumb how that works.
That's why, like, I mean, without getting too in the weeds with Nintendo, that's why it's exciting that I do think Sony, with Vita, that part of it is seamless.
They understand the internet so much more than Nintendo.
And that's why, like, Sound Shapes or even Borderlands, full disclosure, Ace for Gearbox, there are lots of games that actually were pretty good about cloud saves going back and forth.
You're really good at that.
Yeah, it was very quick.
Used to it. But yeah, I don't know. I want that meeting of the minds. Like I want like the back end that Sony has with the automatic syncing and trophies and account-based saves.
I never had a Vita. The Switch makes me want a new Vita.
Yeah.
The Switch makes me want PlayStation to do
it. It makes me sad because I'm seeing people talking about their Switch, and like sometimes I'm like, oh yeah, that's amazing, and then sometimes I'm like, oh man, well, Vita did that.
Yeah, Vita did the same thing.
I was doing that in Vita in 2013.
Cool. There's a couple other games we were going to talk about, but we'll probably save till next week just because we haven't put too much time into it. And I know Max has played a lot of Night in the Woods. I just started Nier Automata, which we'll talk about more next week. And now we'll move on to the Uncharted, the Lost Legacy
Yeah.
What happened this morning?
So Game Informer's new cover is Uncharted Lost Legacy, which is the standalone expansion to Uncharted. Sort of like Infamous First Light. Like, you don't need to have played Uncharted 4.
Or like Left Behind.
Or like Left Behind, yeah, sure.
Yeah, you don't need to play or have owned Uncharted 4.
So I assume it'll be, I don't know, we don't know pricing or date yet, but I'm guessing it'll be a standalone disc, $30, $40, whatever. And yeah, they just got into a little bit of why Chloe and Nadine, like, they considered, are we doing Uncharted spoilers? Maybe we shouldn't.
I mean, no, they considered, they considered Sully and Sam.
Yes.
And be like, what kind of trouble do they get into? But they were like, Sully's an old man, and it's not great to play as in a video game, an old man.
Yep.
And then they
Sully.
also considered a character from the very end of Uncharted 4.
The epilogue of Uncharted 4.
Yeah, but they said that character really wouldn't fit in the primary grammar
Especially
of
with a
Uncharted.
gun.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
they were, like, I think this solution makes sense. It is, I think they said it's about a year after.
6 months to a year after Uncharted 4.
Which makes sense. And Nadine no longer owns Shoreline. She's a kind of an independent contractor that has been hired by Chloe to basically find this artifact.
Yeah.
And the entire game takes place in India. We saw like kind of that like war-torn streets in the PSX demo.
I was a little worried that was going to be the whole game.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it sounds like there's going to be, they said the biggest level they've ever made, bigger than Madagascar even. Like
It's
one
giant,
big
colorful, open
That's
world
awesome.
level.
I love
Yeah.
Madagascar so
Yeah.
much.
Yeah.
It's such a
Me
great
too.
part of the game.
Yeah.
I thought they also said they were sort of focusing on Hindu religion, like they were going to.
Yeah, so the
talk about
cult
that
of
a lot.
Ganesh
Yeah.
is the MacGuffin of the game. Everyone's looking for this thing, and they said, unlike
About artifacts.
unlike the other games which are generally about like a single historical sort of figure and their legacy, they're like this is exploring the like Hindu religion and philosophy and spirituality, which I think is super cool. And obviously that's something you're like, if handled incorrectly, that's not great, but like I trust Naughty Dog to handle it
do too.
correctly.
Yeah.
And going back to what we were talking about, Mass Effect Andromeda, like this is something just different enough
Yeah.
that
Yes.
it's not a direct sequel.
Yeah.
It should have a little bit of a different flavor.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, and I like that they're doing, I mean, like, Uncharted became much less about swashbuckling and more about specifically Nate and his family and his background and all that. And they're doing that with this. Chloe is part Indian, and her father told her a lot of these stories when she was growing up. And so apparently this story is going to be a lot of, like, flashbacks and like the insight they have into looking for this artifact is based on childhood stories she learned from her dad that maybe she didn't have a great relationship with or hasn't really tried to remember in a while and is now looking back on in a different context. And that all sounds personal and interesting.
Yeah, at this point, I feel like I would play pretty much anything Naughty Dog makes, though.
Yeah,
I
So
agree.
it's like, you don't even need to tell me what happens. I'm going to play it.
I mean, and that's the interesting thing is also in the interview with co-president Evan Wells, he said that, quote, Naughty Dog doing an Uncharted after this is unlikely. And then when he was asked about the possibility, he said the likelihood is very low given the Last of Us 2 and other projects they want. So I think it's really
Didn't they say
interesting.
that after Uncharted 3, though, as well?
I mean,
No, I think they, maybe they did. I don't
think
know.
they
Like, I would love to see them do another new IP because I think like looking at Horizon, what Guerrilla got to do and thinking of Last of Us when Uncharted or when Naughty Dog made it, like I feel like there's just more creative freedom in that. But also Uncharted, this proves that Uncharted as a brand like is still viable for non-Nathan Drake stories. And like Bend made what I consider the
Golden Abyss.
third or fourth best Uncharted game. Like I like it better than Uncharted 1.
Yeah.
So other studios can make a good game in that
true.
yeah,
world.
totally.
you know?
Santa Monica, you could give it to Ben. You could even give it to like a second party.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I think that could be really cool. So yeah, we'll have more on the Lost Legacy later on in the year.
Yeah, I can't wait to see more.
Do you reckon those girls are going to do a nice kiss?
No, I think they already did that once. As in they played their hand at the last time.
With Left Behind or something.
Yeah.
Oh no,
Why not do it again?
I like Chloe a lot as a character, and I missed her in 4. I like her
Yeah, I
sense
like
of
her a lot.
humor. Like I just think she's dry and funny. And Nadine, I feel like almost like I mean, there's a story to be told about like the original version of Uncharted 4 versus what we played, you know, and like what Alan Tudyk was doing versus kind of what happened, how Sam changed, all that stuff. Nadine feels like surely there was more to her that got left on
Which
the
I think
cutting
is cool
room
because
floor.
this gets to tell that story.
Exactly. And like Laura Bailey is
awesome.
an incredible
Yeah,
actress.
she rules.
Like I'm so excited for more of Nadine because I feel like there's something that's going to make that character finally click.
Yeah.
Because I really liked what we saw of her in 4, but it was always like
wasn't much.
cameos basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Uncharted, very excited. Just a couple of housekeeping things. One, we don't really need to say anything, but Outlast 2 got a release date, April 25th. It's going to be $30 standalone, or for $40 you can get a box copy with Outlast 1, Whistleblower, and Outlast 2. Alanah and I played Outlast 2 like a year ago. It was scary.
Yeah, they uploaded some gifs of us screaming to the Facebook page.
Yeah, they didn't ask us.
No, they didn't ask us. We just
Yeah,
sort of
so
had
we're
that.
still waiting for money.
Pay up
Yep.
Being
for
terrified
that
of this
3
game.
seconds of us
Yeah.
screaming.
And then we played it at PAX last year, but Alanah, you and I are going to be at PAX this weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super excited. We fly into Boston, I think, Thursday. And we have a pretty packed out schedule.
Yeah, we have 2 official IGN panels. Friday, March 10th at 2 p.m. You can check us out. And we're doing we're IGN Ask Us Anything panel.
Yep.
It'll be the 2
I'm
of us.
excited about that.
Per Schneider, who you know as our co-founder,
manager.
general manager, and oftentimes host on NVC, as well as Kirsten Slater, who's our events coordinator. So it's pretty much going to be just an open, get up to the mic and ask us anything about what IGN is like, process, how we got in the industry, tips to get in the industry, what it's actually like to work here, what our jobs
stuff that's
actually
controversial
entail.
and
Totally.
that you're scared of asking.
Yeah.
It makes that stuff really fun for us. And I think we have all totally different backgrounds of the people who are on that panel.
Yeah, I mean, we've been at IGN for 2 years, 6 years, and 20 years.
Yeah,
so
it should be good. And we did this once in Australia. Oh, I wasn't actually at IGN at the time, but yeah, people asked some really controversial questions, and that made it fun. Like I totally encourage that. We'll answer everything totally honestly. And
I look forward to seeing Kirsten answer questions about games.
Yeah,
that'll be great. What's your favorite game this year?
Kirsten.
Our events coordinator is Mastermind, but yeah.
I mean, the idea.
Sports.
I mean, the idea of like, what is it like to plan E3? Like, is a terrifying thing. Like,
and she does it pretty much single-handedly. She's amazing.
It's
she
horrifying.
does every event pretty much single-handedly.
Yeah, like
she's always stressed.
She's planning
because she
E3,
does so
Comic-Con, and
much
Gamescom
right
at the same
now.
time.
Yep.
Yeah,
This building would just collapse. without her.
Yeah, pretty much.
Just tell her she's amazing.
leave.
So that'll be fun.
Yeah.
But also, if you want to find, I think we have like 5 panels each or so.
Yeah, and so the other official IGN panel is, well, it's not really an IGN panel, but it's the one that the 2 of us are on, is Saturday, March 11th at 3 p.m. at the Bumblebee Theater, and it's Video Games Are Stupid, but we love them for that.
Yeah, I'm going to talk about Deadly Premonition a whole lot.
Yeah. Talk about making that wallet out of that turtle that you exploded.
Good times.
Yeah. And we'll have some fun guests for that.
Yeah, so if you search either of our names in the Pax East app, that's the easiest way to find them, and then you can add stuff to your schedule. It's super.
We'll be tweeting out specific things, like you're going to be hosting a Cartoon Network panel. I'm going to be hosting a Telltale panel.
And we are live streaming a thing
at the Microsoft booth
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Let's we'll tweet out details of that. So
just follow us
they
on
don't like have a room for a crowd, but people are totally welcome to come and watch us basically effectively do a live podcast from the show floor, which is really fun.
Yeah, and come if you want to meet us. We're not doing like an official meet and greet, but come to any of our panels, and afterwards we'll be hanging around. You can go.
I'm super excited. It's gonna be a good show.
Pax East is the best.
Patchies. And then the final PSA before Rapid Fire is that Tearaway Unfolded is free on PlayStation Plus, and you should all play that because it's an
Tearaway is
incredibly great game.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't spend as much time with Unfolded, but
No.
the Vita version is amazing.
Yeah, I played so much of the Vita version. Yeah, good stuff. Now we'll move on to close the show with Rapid Fire. Rapid Fire is where we go into our Facebook group, which is facebook.com/groups/podcast beyond.
Yep.
And we ask your questions. Also, we take questions from our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/IGN Beyond.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, man, I nailed it.
Good job.
Also from our MySpace, which is myspace.com/wearetom.
And we'll put you in our top 5.
Yeah, top 8.
Top 8. Damn it.
Maybe the Australian MySpace was different. Alana, you want to read these out?
Yeah,
We already
sure.
read the first one.
Francis Santos asks, "What's your perfect breakfast?"
I didn't eat breakfast.
Hash browns.
What?
Australian hash browns.
I do. Well, it's like perfect breakfast would be like, I don't know, like a big ass brunch, like just booze and random. Like we eat tachos, which are nachos but made with tater tots. Those are really
those
good.
are really good.
Egg and
Stuff like that.
guacamole.
Like I love breakfast food, so like
too.
I will totally gorge myself on French toast and waffles and stuff. But like realistically, what I actually eat every morning is like an egg white and a banana, or
I have a
boring
protein
stuff.
shake.
Yeah.
And egg white. I like that. Just one.
Single egg white.
I've been making these killer smoothies in the morning, but that's not perfect. That's not like perfect.
Exactly. That's what I mean. Exactly.
There is this place near me, though, that makes the best cold brew coffee, and they do an avocado toast with poached eggs that's like this thick brioche, and it's so good.
Avocado on toast rules.
Yeah, it's
There's
so
this
good.
thing, I don't know if it happened here. Do people make fun of millennials for eating avocado in the US? That's a thing here too.
I mean, I make fun
I
of
thought millennials?
Californians and hipsters and yuppies and
They
So,
even had like flaky sea
There are like
salt on it.
actual
Very-
news sites in Australia that basically talk crap about Australian millennials for eating avocado on toast because it's so expensive. And they're like, how can you keep eating avocados when they're so expensive and then complain about not being able to afford a house? It's like, avocado's real good, man.
Avocado's house. I mean,
It's funny, like, I feel like most of the perfect breakfasts I've had are from other countries. Like, I feel like in Paris, it's like you eat bread and butter and coffee, but it's so much
All
better
day.
than anything here. Yeah.
Paris rules.
So Paris, perfect breakfast.
Yeah.
Just Paris.
Just Paris.
Just Paris.
LJ Lowry asked, what classic I said classic. What classic PS1 game would you like to see remade, brought back to life, or rebooted?
We're getting the Parappa and the Crash, I guess, remasters.
Yeah.
I feel like a full-blown new Crash could be really cool,
That
which
would've been
I imagine would happen if this trilogy is going to sell well.
Yeah, I'm
Works in
hesitant
Skylanders.
because playing those games, like they didn't age particularly well. At least
Especially Crash 1.
Did you play the Skylanders level?
Yes, I did.
I think that's really good.
Yeah, that one's really fun actually, and that was like a smart mix because it's like I think in that world he fits really well, and also like mixing platforming elements into what's already in that game like worked. But like even like I don't know, in Crash 1, like physics have gotten so much better in games that like I would like to see what they could do with it. It would almost feel like a Sonic, like a 3D Sonic in some ways, like with the fast movement and with jumping between obstacles and stuff. So I don't know, I'd be curious to see if it would work.
Yeah.
Because I worry like Parappa and Crash both, I was like, oh, like these bring back so many good memories, but they're very hard to go back to.
Well, and both their respective genres have evolved so much in 20 years between rhythm games and between 3D platformers. Like they were both at the infancy stage of those, whereas now like we're in post Guitar Hero and Rocksmith and Mario
and even
Galaxy.
mobile, like having touchscreens has changed how rhythm games work.
I would love to see Parappa on my phone.
And totally, I agree. It's weird because like something like Final Fantasy VII, if it ever actually comes out, is so rethought from the ground up that it is not like it's a remake in that it's the same story and characters and stuff, but like mechanically it looks barely even the same. There will be limit breaks, but I don't think it'll be the same combat.
No, it's going to feel like probably more like 15 or Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah, exactly.
Great.
So I think like in that way, some of the PS1 stories that are really rich, I would love to see remade with modern systems.
Final Fantasy 9.
Oh my
I
God,
was
I would
going
love
to say
Final Fantasy
that.
9.
I was totally going to say
that
that.
I know we
happened.
like just got the mobile version
Final
or
Fantasy.
whatever, but it is the best Final
absolutely.
Fantasy.
12
Thank
best.
you.
No, Final Fantasy
No,
12.
it's 9.
No,
Yep.
no.
I
All
just
about
want
the
them,
odds.
I still want them to make 6, but in the style of those 3 and 4 from
the little chibi ones?
Little chibi
Yeah.
ones.
So that's what I got my PS1 right when the PS2 was coming out. So they all sort of blended together. But I've always wanted Breath of Fire 3 to get a port to like a handheld game because Nintendo did the ones for Game Boy Advance for 1 and 2, and I loved those. And then I finally did buy like a janky copy of Breath of Fire 3, but haven't had a chance to.
PS1 was the best for RPG. Like for JRPGs,
Yeah,
like
it was.
if we could get new, like even going back to the Square IP, like Xenogears or Parasite Eve or Final Fantasy Tactics or a new Chrono game.
Can we get like a
full new
Legends of
tactic.
Dragoon?
Oh, a new Chrono.
No, I don't. So Chloe brought up Legend of Dragoon the other day too. The secret thing is that game is not good.
Yeah,
I don't know why I got mad at it. Like everyone has this
It
nostalgia
had
for
the
the
best.
game. I will
the best
not calm
theme,
down.
though.
Is everything okay at home?
No, things are bad. No,
Time
things
to
are
put
great.
Chloe in her place.
Nadine.
The next question is from Brennan Bova. Can you wish me a happy birthday? No. Yes, happy birthday.
Yes.
Happy birthday,
birthday.
Brennan.
If not, then what video game robot is your favorite video game robot? Mine is
Do we
Rob
have-
60.
Do we
Very
have to
different
answer
question.
that if we did wish him happy birthday already, or should we just
Why not do both?
present?
I feel his
birthday.
present is our favorite video game
Yeah.
robot.
And also,
I guess from Persona 3, probably my favorite video game robot.
Shocking.
video game robots.
Who are the best beep boops? I like Rush from Mega Man. He's a good dog. I like Juno from Jet Force Gemini. He was a good
That's
dog.
a good call.
Yeah.
Juno is a good dog.
Yeah.
Can I just say
Good dogs, Brent.
everything in Portal 2?
Everything
But also,
important. Yes,
but also
yes.
Wheatley.
Gladys and
Yeah.
Wheatley. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. No,
It was weird,
they
seeing,
totally
it was weird
went.
seeing Logan and seeing Stephen Merchant and being like, oh, Wheatley.
It was also weird because that character,
is a woman. She's
like a crappier version of that character is in X-Men Apocalypse, and it's like a really
Oh, yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
yeah.
dude, and like
Yeah.
Stephen Merchant's version is like captivating in
everything
literally
about
every way.
Logan is better than anything else in the X-Men.
Well, man, what
Pretty
a
much.
crazy coincidence. Like, what are the odds that the ones Bryan Singer wasn't directing happened to be really? Man, it's so crazy that Legion's really interesting without Bryan Singer. It's just, what an odd coincidence.
Also, all the Robo Dinos in Horizon. Shout out to Robo Dinos.
Oh, yeah, pretty good.
Robo T-Rex, Robo
Just
Stormbird.
remember them repeatedly.
Oh, dang.
No, I mount them. Ride them into battle.
Ooh, I'm actually curious about, okay, so Nikki Frangella says, did you have fun licking Nintendo Switch cartridge?
No. Alex McHale said,
Wait, you can't just gloss over it. What is that in reference to?
I licked a Nintendo Switch cartridge because Marty actually told me that he heard that it tasted bad, which is from
Jeff Gerstmann was
Jeff
the first
Gerstmann.
person.
And so I, drunk at 2 a.m. after recording a video with Steve Gaynor, actually decided to lick one and upload it. I recorded, edited, and uploaded the video to my personal YouTube channel quite drunk.
In 10 minutes, right? Didn't
yeah,
you say-
it
it was
about 10
very
minutes.
quick, which I'm very impressed.
And I really didn't expect anyone, but I thought that my own YouTube audience would be like, oh, this is funny, you're an idiot. But it now has like 140,000 views, and people are getting very angry at me, which is why I wanted to gloss over it. Everyone's like, "You're an idiot!
But
Why are adults licking cartridges?"
It's like the
we're
perfect
idiots.
piece of content, especially since you were drunk. It was 2 a.m. You were at the office.
I was here.
That's very. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you were at the office.
It was
but
GDC.
happy. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. But like, it's on our Snapchat. It's on our Facebook, and has like
Twitter.
1 million views on Facebook.
I really
It's
didn't
amazing.
expect that. So
Yeah.
It's
But yeah,
amazing.
they taste. I actually
it
went home.
tastes terrible.
I went home the day after, and I licked a Vita cartridge, and Vita tastes fine.
My favorite
Console
thing,
war's over. Vita tastes fine.
My favorite thing about it, though, and I sent you this as well, is the Nintendo publicist who I deal with down in LA tweeted like later that day, like, everyone, please stop licking your Switch cartridges.
And that's why
Now
it's
I want to.
it's one of those things where as soon as people start talking about it, I'm like, how bad could it taste?
Yes,
I don't wanna
exactly.
lick
No, and it totally.
That's exactly
no, it
why.
does.
If people like treating me like I'm an idiot, and I'm like, okay, A, I wanted to verify it. B, I was curious.
Yeah,
It's
I mean,
also
because
just
the news
there's a
value.
bitters. There's a bitters that is mixed into the actual like plastic.
It's like
or
a
whatever.
bittering agent.
It's the most bitter substance known to man.
And
but
it's supposed
that's
to.
what's so funny. They put this in to discourage people from licking it, and all it's doing is making.
Yeah, I would never. If it was no-
Obviously.
Yeah. It's
Don't
Yeah,
touch
it
it.
was
It's hot.
How hot is it?
great. Anytime a waitress brings over like a hot, it's hot. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah,
I
you're
take
right.
it as a challenge.
What did I
Exactly,
expect?
Well, missed that.
Down,
I don't know
Brett.
what I expect.
Gotta switch my Touch ID on my phone now.
Alex McHale, would you volunteer for a one-way mission to an Earth-like planet?
Hell no.
I would
watched
go to
Passengers.
space straight up. I would go to Mars if I could. The only stipulation is that I would be allowed to take my family and my dog with me.
My thing is, if I could go right now, I'm on board. In like 30 years, if this is available to me, I want to go when I'm like old. Like it's like I'm not going to survive that trip.
Sure, you would. Why wouldn't you? It's not it's not unsafe, and it
You're gonna
actually
be
doesn't take that
cold.
long.
I'm gonna be old.
Oh,
No.
I
Well,
think it takes 6 days to get to Mars.
old.
No, that's not that bad.
You'll be fine.
what do you mean it takes 6 days?
I'm pretty sure that's what they
She
predict.
is our space expert.
Oh yeah, and I don't know anything about space.
And it's like the International Space Station is something like 4 hours. Like it's
All right,
really.
I take it back. When my 60th
Yeah, you're
birthday,
totally fine.
You're gonna-
Well, right, that's my thing. If
gonna
I
have a
could
3-day
die in
weekend?
space,
Yeah,
hell
that doesn't
yeah.
matter.
Also,
Well, if you can die in space, like of natural and peaceful causes, and not by like
an
a
asteroid
chest
hit-
burster
yeah.
or whatever.
I feel like that would also be fine because at least you get this beautiful view of the galaxy and stuff that you've literally never seen before.
As you're writhing in pain, watching your entrails
Again,
floating above you.
I saw Passengers, and I don't want to go to space now. And
Especially
I
now
don't
with
wanna watch
Chris Pratt.
Yeah,
Passengers
especially now the
Is that
creepy
movie
dude.
really bad?
it's pretty bad.
I didn't
It's
even
just-
like
has
it.
a-
Just is.
It has a real.
flawed.
It has a real junk turn halfway through.
I heard it has a really bad twist.
Yeah. It didn't even bother me that much, and then people called me sexist, and I was like, okay.
What?
It just was not. It's not.
Yeah.
It could have been much.
The internet.
I really like Chris Pratt, so let's move on.
me too.
Greg Sinclair said, "Hey guys, I would love if Terry could tell us what it's like working at the LA office."
Yes. Beyond. Oh, that wasn't the question I thought it was going to be. I thought someone was asking about the movie show.
Oh no, a bunch of people asked about the movie show.
Okay, well, I'll answer
Double.
those together. Hi, Greg. Working in the LA office is not as much fun as working in the San Francisco office. Not because the people aren't lovely, because my team is the best, but you guys have so many toys up here, and it's that like you guys have a whole overcooked PlayStation, like not like PlayStation system, but PlayStation, where there are just like a
station
bunch
of
of
play.
consoles, yeah,
Station.
that everyone sits around and just play. Yeah, so it's amazing. We do a lot because there are so few of us, though, that we all double up and work on a lot of the same content and collaborate together. And
You
that's
guys get to go to
really
like movie premieres and stuff like
We
that.
do,
I
yeah,
want to
I'm
go to the
very-
Ghost in the Shell premiere so bad.
Me too. Yeah, it's neat because things that I'm sure you guys get this a lot too. What is work is everyone else's dreams. Like
totally-
it's work going to after parties and going to premieres
after
and
parties.
interviewing celebrities and doing all these things, which is really neat and a fun part of the job.
What, you snuck into an after party last week?
I did. It was great.
There you
I was
go.
not supposed to be there. Never
Yep.
mind. Take it back.
Exactly.
To an after
Yeah.
party. I didn't sneak in. I used identity theft.
It's
That
great.
still counts.
It's great, but I will say my favorite thing is getting opportunities to come and work with all you guys too, because we have a very small team and IGN is so big, and
Yeah,
like also
and the show you flew out for today is gonna be so good.
yeah,
so
this
excited.
show is great. But yeah, I mean, I've also like gotten to go to the UK office. You've been to the Australia office. Like all our teammates are amazing, and working at IGN as a whole. Like I always think that when you work at IGN, you inherit like an extra 100 friends who all have the same
totally a
interests,
thing.
right? And then they become your family.
That's why it's
and
like
that's the most fun.
it would be such a hard company to leave. Like I feel like leaving.
I mean, everyone who leaves.
they
does the
always
exact same
cry
thing.
every morning. If
Well,
someone
yeah.
leaves, they cry, and it's
Yeah.
like it's
When I
so
quit,
hard
I
to leave,
cried
dude.
so hard.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
came back
And then
like
you
half
came
later.
back.
Yeah, Greg and Collins last
which
episode.
is that answer.
Yeah.
But yeah, LA office is great. And movie show, which I'm flattered that people in the Beyond
Several people in
group,
Beyond.
several people, they keep coming and asking us. Yeah, we had a podcast that was called Keeping It Real, and it
Or
got
EEL.
Yes, it was a pun.
Puns.
we
Like
were
a
told
film
we were
reel.
told it was a bit too early aughts and we needed to update it. And then it got put on indefinite hold because
But it's
we
gonna
are
come
looking
back.
for hosts. But it will come back. We do not have a date. It will come back. We have not forgotten about it.
Will it be back
It will come
before
back.
the time episode 8 comes out? Yes. I just guaranteed it.
Okay.
Oh.
Marty will host it if we
The
need.
famous man of guarantees, Mass Effect trilogy expert.
Rise of the Tomb Raider will be delayed.
Greg, thanks for the question though. I appreciate it. It's fun to be on with you guys.
The next
Beyond.
one is from Joshua Nedich, who said comfort food TV show and guilty pleasure TV show.
Comfort food for me is all the DC CW shows. They just, I don't know, like I watch them while cooking a lot, and I feel like most of them have gotten significantly worse than they used to be, but like they are my Monday through Thursday or Monday through Wednesday now. I know I can come home and just watch like a very reliable formulaic thing, but I just like the characters. And even though Arrow's really, really bad now.
It's real rough.
Yeah, but he's real hot.
Is he still on that island? Is he still doing those weird pull-ups?
No,
No,
he's
now-
in Russia.
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't
He's
really
doing like
remember
a
why.
political campaign. It's-
I
he running?
honestly, I stopped
You guys
paying
joking?
attention during. No.
Oh.
Yeah, I stopped paying attention during the flashbacks. Like they're supposed to be more
the
relevant
flashbacks
this
are
year.
so
They're so
bad.
bad.
Yeah.
I just,
Yeah.
you know, I
I watch I have good comfort food shows like Parks and Rec and The Office and
Bob's Burgers.
Archer and Bob's
Yeah.
Burgers
Yeah.
and
Totally.
Arrested Development, 30 Rock.
Any
Yeah.
comedy,
Mine are
like a
pretty
lot
much
of
exactly the same. Except
Yeah.
a lot of like those like really
Safe
good
Lost.
classic comedies.
Jonathan Dormish will be proud of me because I started just watching Gilmore Girls, like the original one for the
Nice.
first time, and that's been a good like comfort food. It's been a rough week or month at work, and I'm like, I just need to watch something that's lovely.
Yeah.
And
The show is so you can identify that even if you're in another room and all of the voices are muffled because the way they talk is so
Yeah,
quick
the pacing.
and like it's just so snappy. Like it's so unique in that.
Yeah, that and like Sorkin are the only two things I feel like you could identify. Yeah, like muffled
Just
from
by
3 rooms
overhearing.
away.
And I
Yeah.
totally easily fell back into that like 90s aughts mentality of the WB and what it was then. But my boyfriend, anytime I walk by and he sees me doing it, he's like, all these characters are terrible. I only identify with Luke. Luke gets it, who's like the curmudgeon. And I'm like, yeah, everyone's terrible, but you know, whatever. At least I don't need to watch another show for work.
And like they're literally all white.
Yeah, well, and then there's Michelle, the guy who works at the
Yeah.
So there's
have one token.
They have one. He's French too.
Yeah.
Is that the same? Like, I guess comfort food TV show and guilty pleasure TV show.
Well, guilty pleasure TV show would be something that you're like kind of embarrassed about liking.
See, I don't have. I wear
don't think
my
I have
stuff
one
on my
either.
sleeve so much. Like I'm,
Yeah.
you know, I
was
watch
like-
things that are like people will roll their eyes at, but I don't care.
Yeah, especially working at IGN. Like when I was a kid, I was a little embarrassed. I was super into Sailor Moon. Like that would have been my guilty pleasure. But
No,
now
that's
I'm like,
cool
no,
now.
Cool kids,
look how
yeah.
cool I am. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna buy Sailor Moon t-shirts and
Oh, you get to hang out with Miranda. I'm jealous.
Oh, I also comfort food. I watch tons of The Twilight Zone. I love that show so much. It just every single episode that I watch of that, I'm like, this is so old. How is nothing better than this yet? Like, it's just so good.
They had Rod Sterling on Up at Noon back when Greg hosted.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh god.
He's been dead for a long time.
American History with Alanah.
Of course he has. Damn it.
That stuff at Noon Guest in the original era was Archduke Ferdinand.
Man, you narrowly avoided that bullet by Gavrilo Princip.
Yeah, Donan said, I miss Mitch. Same.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
Same.
I also miss Mitch. R.I.P.
Maybe we'll see him at Star Wars Celebration.
Why would we see him there, Terry?
Because he works at EA Motive, who are currently working on Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah.
Among other projects. All right.
Beyond.
Beyond.
All right.
Make sure everyone saw that disclosure from earlier that I'm.
That was Beyond episode 483. You can find us all on Twitter. I am at Nick Biggity. Alanah is at Charlanazard. Andrew is at Garfep. And Terry is at
Terry_Schwartz.
Terry
I need a
underscore
much more
Schwartz.
interesting.
T-Spot 88.
If I
T-spot,
could change
Care Bear.
Charlanazard, now I would. But I've
Oh
had it
no.
for too long.
No. I like it. You could get like one of those necklaces.
No one knows how to spell it.
It's just Charizard with your name in the middle.
Yeah.
People don't realize
Also,
that.
don't ever get a Charlanazard necklace. I feel like
would I
you
do
will
that?
have 99 friends at IGN. If
Why
you,
would I do that?
I don't know, because Terry said
I just
Terry,
suggested
Terry said
it.
you should
You're
do it,
right.
and then you were
Sorry,
like,
take it back.
Right,
Yeah.
Keep putting my foot in my mouth.
yeah. Thank you all so much for watching. That was Beyond episode 483. And until next time, Beyond.
Big.
Beyond.
Beyond.